started here. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to thank everyone for. I'm going to almost automatically assume that people are going to catch this after the fact because we are recording this, and it's being Facebook live streamed, which I have not done in ages, but I do like the idea of getting it out there and sharing it. So we're doing a small business year-end checklist. And I'll introduce our good friend here in just a second. But let me tell you who I am real quick. Although you can see my video, I'm going to turn it off now, so nobody wants to see me. Normally, this is me. I'm Todd Bladen. I'm the
come on, Todd.
I'm the director of the Small Business Center at Bladen Community College. That's us in COVID times there. I have been here now. I'm at the 9.5-year mark. And formerly in my previous life, did very similar work at a Chamber of Commerce. So I'm doing a lot of this stuff. And if you're familiar with the Community College System Small Business Center Network, we're at all the community colleges. We're just one of the 58 throughout North Carolina. We do these no-cost seminars, webinars, and do one-on-one counseling virtually as well. I've been working with a client who's actually a trucker. So he's all over the north right now. I think he's somewhere up in the Northeast because he's traveling so much and working so much. So we do a lot of our stuff virtually, including this. So whether you catch it on Facebook or we'll probably have the video up for a short while here towards the end of the year before we get into 2022, which is frightening to think that we're here at the end of the year so fast.
Yes.
But we offer these to facilitate economic impact here. As you can see, our goal is primarily to help businesses start and expand, but also to help create and retain jobs for North Carolina. And it's probably one of the best investments that our General Assembly makes because it's a relatively low-cost program in order to do all these wonderful things. And to bring on great people like this lady, who stole this straight from her website. I don't know if she's got in her slideshows, but I'll stop my share in just a second. And Wanda, with her great name, Work on Wonderful, was a former colleague who now has hung out her shingle and does stuff like this occasionally for us. Wanda, I know you're here, so if you've got the slides, it's your show now to talk about. We talked about doing this kind of thing here towards the end of the year. Like, what can people be doing to prepare for 2022? And I know for a lot of folks, it's like getting ready for taxes and there's all sorts of other crazy things, especially with COVID's been, right? So what have you got for us today?
Well, you know, the end of the year, Todd, is often a perfect time to reflect and plan on the year ahead. Even though you may seem extremely busy, you can still carve out some time to review where your business has been this past year and where you'd like to go in the new year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be discussing a year-end checklist, and the big focus is going to be on financial related issues. And I'll throw in some customer related task also there to help you wrap up your current year and start off that new year with confidence. And you can use what you learn in this little segment here to set some goals and create an action plan for a successful year ahead. That's what we're going to take a look at. And you don't have to, check off every single item on this list. Pick the ones that are most important to you and that you think will have the biggest impact on your business. I just want you to keep in mind that sometimes the task that you least want to do may be the very ones you need to tackle first. It's that human nature part there. So we're going to break it down into marketing, accounting, finances, insurance, and as I mentioned, we'll jump in with a little bit of customer relations and personnel at the end. We'll touch on that just a little bit. So when we're talking about marketing,
Wanda, we're not seeing your slides.
Oh, you're not seeing my slides. Oh, well, no. Let's just see here. Let's just move ahead here. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for telling me that. How about this? You see that now?
Not yet.
Okay, a little delay there.
No, not at all.
Okay, do you see, what do you see?
Nothing.
You don't see anything. Well, let me just go back here. I wonder. All right. But you can hear me.
You're fine.
All right. Huh. That's very interesting.
See if I can help you out. Hang on.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now,
Oh,
yeah. How about that?
there you are. Yep.
All right. Let me
Good
get
job.
this. Let me get this back up here. So I can control it. Now, how about that?
There you go.
Just a little delay there. No big deal. All right, here we go. Marketing. You see marketing?
That we do. You're good now.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, Todd, for letting me know that. All right, so sales that lead to profits are the number one way you'll build a financially successful business. So start looking at how you're generating sales. And remember, though, that revenue won't equal profits unless your cash in, your revenues, your cash in, are greater than your cash out, which are your expenses. And that seems like maybe a duh, but you need to really think about that. So I want you to consider these 5 points when you're talking about marketing and looking at your year-end checklist. So review your business plan to make sure that it's up to date and it reflects your focus for the coming year. You know, a business plan should be updated as market conditions change, and you think about it, you know, if there's ever a time when conditions have changed, it's probably been this past year. So review your business plan, review it. You should review it every year. Number 2 here says to review your marketing spending for the previous year and see how that worked out for you. See if it worked or if it didn't work out. And not all types of marketing allow you to track specific results, but some do. And you can always ask your customers how they heard about you. Just ask them how they heard about you. The next tip here says, consider eliminating marketing expenses that are not providing a positive return on investment. So of course, there may be other reasons to invest in marketing dollars, and that could be things like if you're supporting something in your community. But if you're spending a lot of money on particular marketing or sales strategies and not seeing results, it may be time to cut your losses and just move on. Just move on. So the 4th thing I want you to consider here under marketing is evaluating your budget to determine how much you can spend, maybe to test new marketing strategies and enter new marketing. We call this entering these new markets. We call this in 2020, we called it pivoting. But there are more ways than ever to reach an audience right now. So consider placing some small bets to find out what works for you. So just evaluate your budget there. And the 5th point I want you to consider under marketing is, hey, you may want to investigate some exporting, or you may even want to investigate doing business with the federal government. Just some things to think about, investigate that. So if there is an international market for your goods and services, you may benefit from expertise and financing through the SBA programs and their partners. I know the Small Business Center, you know, Todd can link you up to some exporting information and links, or also some links for doing business with the federal government. So there are just some things to consider when you're looking at your marketing from the previous year and also looking at your marketing going forward.
Wanda is a really complete aside, but because it relates to the topic, right now, as we go into the end of the year, right before January, one of the things, and depending on where somebody's catching this from after the fact, of course, they really do need to try, if they're looking for, especially what you're talking about with import, export, and or help with marketing or any sort of, especially something that's looking at growth stuff for the coming year. The SBTDCs, our sister organization, all the universities,
Yes.
of course, they do a lot of this in-house themselves, just like we do, but they also have access to essentially interns, or in some cases, um, uh, business students, whether they're in MBA programs or traditional programs, who have to do projects and things like that. And of course, this is well after the year, but they operate essentially with the school year cycle. So generally, they need to be contacted right around now towards the beginning of the school year in January to get on a list to see if they can find appropriate candidates for whatever kind of project they would set up, whether it's, looking at updating a marketing plan, maybe it is import export. And of course the SBTDC is a great expert on that in the state period. So, and of course they're at all of the universities. So no matter where somebody's at in the state, of course, they have regions and they generally try to work with people where they're at. But if it's something really particular, some of the schools have experts in particular areas that they could probably hook them up with. But definitely something to keep in mind whether they wanted to contact us. And I'll make sure I put the links in the chat functions for both
Oh, good.
Facebook and here so that they can take a look at that link. But also they
Yes.
can contact myself or any of their small business center directors and get hooked up with the right SBTDC for that kind of consultation work that doesn't cost anything and thankfully is helping students out, and or if it's something like I said, like the export, that's what the SBTDC is there for.
Excellent, Todd. Excellent. So that's the SBTDC. That's the Small Business Technology Development Center. And Todd's going to put that link up, but it's sbtdc.org. And you're right. They are the experts there, and they are sister partners at the university level where we're at the community college level. So thank you for mentioning that. Right now, our next area we're going to focus on is accounting. And as they say, numbers do not lie. So recognize that accounting isn't just important for filing a tax return or making sure you pay the IRS. It's also something we need to focus on regularly. And whether you love working with numbers or you hate it, what you learn by delving into the numbers will help you drive important decisions going forward. And I tell clients all the time that this may not be your forte. Maybe you're a baker and that's what you do best. Maybe you're a mechanic, that's what you do best. Whatever it is, that's fine. Whatever your expertise is, there are accountants out there that do this for a living. And I would say that of all the people on your bail team, your banker, your accountant, your insurance agent, and your lawyer, this may be your most important bail team member, your accountant. So I have some things I want you to focus on here regarding accounting and your small business year-end checklist. So first of all, I think most important is make sure your bookkeeping is up to date. Make sure it's up to date. If you do this yourself, and let's just say that you're not consistent with it, or maybe you get behind, it may be worth hiring a bookkeeper to help you keep your financial records up to date. And I know a lot of accounting firms, they have bookkeepers on their employee, or maybe the accountant can help you themselves, but you check it out, at least check it out. You'd be better off for doing that. So each month and at the end of the year, you want to be able to do what we call closing your books. You want to be able to do that. So a couple of points here too. Number 2 says, determine if you want to continue using the same accounting software next year. QuickBooks is very popular. We know that. But there are many other accounting software programs that small business owners can consider. So this is something else that an accountant can help you with. And it may be that your bookkeeping system software programs are working just fine, but just know that there are lots of options out there. So at least consider if you want to keep with the same program. The third point here says, review financial statements. Now listen, this could include your income statements, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, and your profit and loss statement. And if all those terms make your eyes glaze over, well, here again is another reason why you need to get help from an accounting pro or even a business mentor. And the Small Business Center can help you with that as well, can help you connect with someone or help you with even some of these particular financial statements. The next point here says to run an accounts receivable aging report and determine what actions you may need to take to encourage slow paying customers or clients to catch up on paying you. And this is something that we struggle with all the time as small business owners. So make sure you are keeping track of that. And discounts for early payments or penalties for slow payments can both be effective. I know sometimes if you tell your clients, if they pay you within the first 10 days, you may give them a 10% discount. Or some of you may be able to collect payments in advance, or at least collect half the payment in advance. But run an accounts receivable aging report and see how that looks for you. And the fifth point here, or the next point, says to run an accounts payable report to determine whether or not your business is paying its obligations on time. Late payments can hurt our business credit, so be very conscientious about that and stay on top of that as much as possible. And it also affects your reputation. You know that, when we want to keep our business reputations as clean as possible. And this last point here under accounting says to set up a consultation with your CPA or tax preparer to review your financial reports. They understand them. They know the input and the output, and they understand how that is going to relate to your business. They can also help you save on income taxes. I hope you heard that loud and clear. They can help you save on income taxes and discuss ways to improve your business finances. So don't wait to have your conversation with your tax preparer until tax time, because that could be a little overwhelming. You may want to go ahead and see if there's anything at year end that you can do to make things easier, or maybe some spending that needs to take place before year end, things of that nature, and your accountant can help you with that. Any thoughts there, Todd?
I think you've gotten most of it down. I think one of the things that we can do, and hopefully we'll see with the new budget, is that if somebody does need that kind of specialized access, that in some cases in the past, as long as it wasn't like an ongoing, we can't replace somebody's tax preparer or CPA, but if they need some advice, and most of us are not, I know enough bookkeeping and tax information to be dangerous. I usually rely, just like everybody else, on a CPA or accountant, but we do have access to people who do consult for us. So if it's something where they want to perhaps figure out if they've got an antiquated system, or they want to figure out how, if QuickBooks is the one for them. In some cases, we run those as seminars, but if it's not going to be feasible, especially because there is a time frame on tax stuff, that maybe we can get them hooked up for a short consultation with an accountant specialist who can help them figure out what it is they would need, because it's one of those things that we can do for them a little bit. Like I said, but you don't want me doing that necessarily. But we can find somebody that probably could.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I thought maybe you could, and I wasn't sure what that situation was right now. So I'm glad you added that in.
We're hoping we get the fun kind of funding we had last year, but we haven't heard just yet.
Okay. Boy, what that would be a great help.
Mm-hmm.
A great help. All right. The next area we're going to cover on our small business year-end checklist is going to be financing. And as I said earlier, most business owners would rather be doing something else than focusing on their financial tasks. That's for sure. You'd rather be spending time creating new products or selling, or even just completing work for customers. But if you don't pay close attention to your finances, you're probably wasting money. So I have 10 points here that I want you to consider to help with your financial review at year end. And the first is going to be review your business credit cards you used last year. And maybe it might be time to determine, whether you can shop around for a better deal. So just review it. Look at your interest rate that you're paying. See how that worked for you. And it might be that your credit has improved some, that you can get a better deal. So review that. Number 2 says review your pricing strategy. And it may be time to consider raising your prices or your rates. I know that's kind of scary, but right now it seems across the board that a lot of people are raising their prices, and year end is a good time to do that. And just tell your folks you're starting out the new year with a different rate or a different pricing strategy. At least take a look at it. My third point here is to critique your business bank accounts, just like a lender would. I want you to look at your average monthly revenues, maybe your low balance days and your income sources, and all of these, which all impact your ability to qualify for small business financing. So these are things you need to be keeping an eye on for sure. The next point, I want you to evaluate your business banking account. Take a look at fees and benefits. And here again, determine if it's the right fit for you. And for those of you who are still using a personal account out there for your business, it is time to switch to a business account. You need to be keeping your personal finances and your business finances and banking completely separate. Even if you think you are a small business, a micro business, you still need to be having your business banking separate from your personal banking. So go back and evaluate your business banking account and make sure it's the right fit for you. It's the right fit. Next tip here is to review business expenses to identify costs that you can eliminate. We want to be eliminating any extra expenses out there that we have. Remember again to ask yourself, what is the ROI? What's the return on investment here that you're getting out of those expenditures? My next tip here says, think about a line of credit. Consider a line of credit if you don't already have one. Whether a crisis or opportunity comes along, I think you'll be glad that you have at least access to this essential type of short-term financing when you need it. So just take a look and see if it's something that you may want to consider. Be a good time to do it. It's also a good time to review your outstanding business loans to determine whether you can save money by refinancing that business debt. And you might even be able to go through business debt consolidation, but at least take a look at it and see if there are better terms out there. Oftentimes when we start out in business and because we are newbies, those terms are a little bit more harsh than for those that have been in business for a while. And so if you've got a year under your belt, or even 6 months or a couple of years under your belt, you may want to go back and review those outstanding business loans and see if you can do a better job with that, just like you would your home mortgage, or even a car loan. The next point here, or the next tip, is to shop for new financing that you may need in 2022. Boy, that does sound strange, 2022. So shopping for a loan before you desperately need it and need those funds, it will allow you to make better decisions. So just see what's out there. Ask around, talk to your banker, talk to a couple of bankers, talk to some other business owners and see what they're doing. Then we have 2 more here under financing I want to mention to you. The next one is review contacts with vendors and suppliers. Consider negotiating increased payment terms to improve your cash flow, or when possible, tax advantages of prompt pay discounts there, just like we mentioned earlier. So just take a look at what your vendors or suppliers are offering. And sometimes if you don't ask, they don't tell you. So just consider what might be out there for you to be able to do some negotiating with them. I tell you, they're always willing to help out. They're good customers too. So check out and see what's going on out there. And then the last point here says, check your business and personal credit reports. You should be doing this any old way. There's annualcreditreport.com that is free, free, free. And right now, I was on there recently with another client. Right now, they're, typically it is you can get one report from each of the reporting agencies per year for free. So let's just say that you did in the first quarter, you ran a report from Experian. And then the next quarter you did one from TransUnion. And now I'm drawing a blank on the third one. What's our third credit reporting agency? TransAmerican, TransUnion, Experian. Okay, what's the next one? Equifax, that's what it is, Equifax. But what I read recently, instead of having to do one per quarter, right now, I think you can do one per month, run a credit report one per month, or even more often than that for free. So check your business and personal credit report and make sure there are no blemishes out there that don't need to be rectified. Keep that clean. Know what's going on out there. All right. Anything else we want to add to this, Todd, that you think might be helpful under finances?
I love the quarterly, although with the three different and I'm going to steal his thunder, and our good friend Bob Moore, who's a credit debt expert, I'll steal one of his best pieces of advice, which is to set calendar dates on the every 4 months for the three different credit bureaus, so that you are making it an annual event to go back and check at least once a year to really do a hard look, pull your report for each one independently. And then that way you're going back and looking at it every 4 months instead of monthly. I mean, if you've got a concern, it's, obviously you want to probably monitor it pretty closely. But if you don't generally have a huge reason, at least once a year, go in, double check, see, make sure there's nothing, like you said, nothing crazy going on, because then it's much easier to dispute those things nowadays, so that you can get it cleaned up. And now's the time too to think of it. If you take a look at it and you see something that is problematic, to start making that plan to get it cleared up, because that's the best way, like you said, for almost everything else. So that if you need to get loans, whether it's even a credit card nowadays, if it's just something simple and it's something you can plan on getting it paid off, while the rate may not be the best thing in the world, it may be the thing that gets you over the hump, whether it's with a vendor or it is just credit that can help you, do some sort of expansion this year, or whether it's something brand spanking new, a new line, or you just need something up front in order to make something work or go forward. It's definitely something to think about, but you have to have that stuff cleared up now and make sure you're prepared for it, because that is one of the most common problems we see is a bad, or even not a bad credit score. I mean, nowadays, unfortunately, you have to have a pretty good credit score to get the amounts needed to get some of the things done. So it's something you do have to monitor, especially if you don't have business credit right now. If you've not don't have something built up, that's one of the big things that most people forget, is that you're relying it's your personal credit until it's your business credit. So definitely something to think about as you go forward.
Yep. Good point there. Very good point. Okay, let's move on to insurance. And this is something you probably don't think about a lot, but we really should be. Well, I think especially living through the crisis of the pandemic that we've had, and then in our area, natural disasters with storms and hurricanes we've had the past couple of years, and then we've had this increased reports of cyber ransom attacks. Oh my goodness. And most business owners are well aware of the need of business insurance. So this is something I want you to really think about. Go back and review. Number one says here, review your insurance coverage to make sure it still meets your business needs. And so this is another person on your bail team, your insurance agent. Become familiar with them. And if here again, if you don't think you're getting the best service that you need, shop around, talk to a couple of insurance agents, just like you would with your car insurance. Shop around, or your homeowner's policy. Shop around and make sure you're getting exactly what it is that you need. I know that the NC Department of Insurance, that's ncdoi.gov, NC Department of Insurance, they have a business guide on their site that helps business owners determine exactly what it is that they need. So that may be another thing for you to go back and just educate yourself a little more before you talk to your insurance agent about what your needs may be there. And as we said, consider shopping insurance for cost savings. People are always looking to get your business. You know, it's one of those win-win. The better you do, the better they do. So they're hoping to get your business. The third point here says, discuss coverage with your insurance agent to eliminate coverage gaps. Something you may want to think about there. And you know, we could talk about business insurance for a while here, but I don't want you to assume, those of you that are out there working from home, I don't want you to assume that your homeowner's insurance is going to cover you. So make sure that you do have the coverage you need for a home-based business there. And then number 4 says, explore insurance to help your business survive a cyber attack or a data breach. And I know a lot of in the Small Business Center network, there are some classes out there too that help teach about preventing cyber attack or data breach there. So you may want to take a look. Todd, anything to add to that under insurance or cyber attack or data breach for that particular section?
I know we've had a lot of people interested in looking at that, and that's one of those kind of areas that we probably all could use a little more training on in terms of where to get the insurance from. Because I know, like I said, I mentioned that client earlier that we're working with, and one of his bigger concerns is making sure he had some insurance. Thankfully, it's not terribly expensive. It's just a matter of making sure you have the right insurance and getting it hooked up with the right person. And then also, as you mentioned, a bigger concern is becoming more and more of this cyber attack in the data. And if you're that small, it may be something that's not a huge issue, but it is definitely something you want to make sure, even less for the actual insurance itself, because at the end of the day, I mean, it almost becomes a matter of, if you've lost it, your business is dead. It's almost more important to make sure, outside of insurance itself, is that the people you're doing who have your data have it well backed up in a way that you can get quick access to it if something does happen. Because I know a lot of stuff has gone to the cloud, and we need to make sure that you have access. Because what we saw with some of these data attacks is that, you know, once it was taken out, I mean, some places were dead in the water, lost a lot of sales. That Facebook outage early in October was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people who rely
Oh yeah.
only on Facebook as their primary means of sales. And it really shows, you know, you have to make sure your own data and any place the outlets you sell through are reliable and backed up in a way that you can handle it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. There are a lot of people concerned about it these days, and lots of avenues to get help, but just to try and sift through and find out which way to go is a little tough. So I'm glad you guys are out there to assist with some of that. All right, we're going to talk about customer relations and how, when we look at the year end and look forward to next year, and see how this might play into our planning. The first thing I want you to think about is to realize the value of your repeat customers. And we call that sometimes the lifetime value of a customer. And there is a little formula that goes with that to take a look and see what the lifetime value of your customers are. But I think it's so important for us to realize that those repeat customers that are loyal to us, that they pack a lot of punch, a whole lot of punch. So it's not just about a one-time sale or a one-time purchase. It's about how many times they come in and purchase from you during a year. So that's part of that equation. And then another part of that equation is how many referrals those repeat customers make to you. That is a huge part of it, is the referrals they make for you. And so it kind of goes like this. The formula is A times B. A is going to be that the average value of the sale, and B is going to be the number of times your customers make a purchase from you in the course of a year. So A times B. And then you're going to say A times B times C. And C is going to be that percentage of your customers and how they would provide a successful referral rate. So you could just say, let's just say for ease here that 25%, that your customers will provide 25% of a referral rate there. So I'm not going to get into all this, but what I'm trying to tell you is that there's a built-in calculation there for the lifetime value of your customer. And I'm going to throw just some basic numbers out here. If let's say that your average sale is $100, we'll keep that nice and round, and that your customer, the number of times they purchase from you is 12 times in the course of a year. And on an average of 25% that they would refer to somebody else. So then that one customer their lifetime value in a year could be $1,200. I'm sitting here looking at this thinking, did I do that math right? And I think I did. But just do not underestimate the value of your customers, your repeat customers. And we're going to talk about how we can seek ways to enhance that going forward there. You talk about, customer service, customer satisfaction. Those things are so important, and all the things that play into that, the elements of customer satisfaction. And that could be, the quality products and services that you sell. It could be attention to detail that you have. Maybe it's fair pricing or prompt, adequate responses to questions or complaints, or it could even be good training programs. And then there are some barriers out there to providing satisfaction. And that could be that you're understaffed, maybe that you lack inventory, or maybe think about the long lines we've had to experience recently and slow service, or even the hours. They could all be barriers to providing customer satisfaction, things that we do not really want to have to worry about. But sometimes how it is. It's like you see a business, you check them out online, they post their hours that they're open from 8 to 5. And so you work it out in your schedule and you try and go visit that business during those hours, and you go and they're closed. And it could be because they don't have adequate staffing. And we all know how big of an issue that's been this past year. But these are things that we want to try and be consistent, and we want to break down those barriers for providing that satisfaction. Ways you can measure customer satisfaction. Well, you can ask them at the point of sale. You can ask them how effective that your service was today. Or you could do satisfaction surveys. You get a more private response. You could do focus groups. Have you ever considered doing a focus group and asking a group of your valued repeat customers what they think about your business? You could have a complaint box or some sort of suggestion system. Or I tell you, another way you can measure customer satisfaction would be lost sales. That's or maybe even repeat customers. That's another way. Or if they bring a friend with them, that's another way you can measure. Or their body language, or when they continue to buy more. So there are all kinds of ways that we could evaluate our customer service there. So I also put up here to reward those that are loyal to you, those customers that are loyal to you. Think of ways you can reward them. You can incentivize your customers. It may be with a punch card for every cup of coffee they buy. You know how that works. Or it could be that you give them Especially this time of the year, you give them a bounce back coupon. So they come back during the time where your business is a little slower in the beginning of the year. Just find ways you can reward those that are loyal to you with an extra discount, an extra item, just things of that nature. And take a look back. Okay, so we've talked about those that are repeat customers, those that are loyal customers to you. But take a look back and evaluate the new customers that you've had this past year. How did they hear about you? How did they find out about you? And another good thing to do is to ask them, just flat out ask them how they found out about you, how they heard about you. This will help you too with your advertising dollars to find out what's working and what's not working. And then this last point here on customer relations I have is seek ways to enhance customer service going forward. Just seek ways to enhance it. If you want to grow your repeat customer base, here's some things you can think about is stay in touch. Stay in touch with them. After the sale, devote resources to continue to build the relationship. Instead of just setting your sights on that next transaction, you could think about as you're looking at your year end, how you could improve customer relations with being more active on social media. And here again, you could send them incentives if they see your link on social media. You might even consider a regular communication such as an email newsletter, not to bombard them, because goodness knows we get enough emails in the course of a week, but just consider something you may want to look at for the coming year. Have you thought about doing a newsletter and staying in touch with them? But I would say assume that they will not remember you. We have so many people competing for our attention these days. And so just because someone has hired you or used your services or purchased something from you once doesn't guarantee that they will think of you the next time they need that same product or service. And like I said, you're competing for their attention amidst a million distractions every day. So think about how you could stay in front of your customers so they would use you the next time. And keep that experience fresh and relevant. Give them a reason to shop with you again. Continue to hone in and improve your offerings as you look into the next year. There might be something that you need to improve upon, some product you need to enhance or get rid of. Who knows? Another thing I want you to consider here with customer relations is to surprise them. Think about how in the coming year you can go above and beyond to meet the expectations. Leave them feeling delighted and excited that they will tell others about you. Think about how you can do this. You could do it by simply remembering their names. Set a goal maybe to remember their names or offer a special gift on their birthdays or other milestones. And we mentioned, you could reward them for their business by giving them loyalty discounts or extras when they are repeat customers of ours. And I think another tip here is to collaborate, do good things together in the community. And this may be something you want to set your sight on for the coming year, is to, whether you're, even for the holiday season, maybe you say, we're going to donate a portion of every sale to a nonprofit, or you might even host a collection site for a food bank, or choose an activity that lets your customers know that you're doing a good deed for the community. And it also makes them feel good about doing business with you. Just think about how you could do that at year end right here, or maybe even going forward, how you might sponsor a little league team or get involved somehow, but do some collaborating in your community. Do some collaborating there. All right, anything else, Todd, there that you can think of with customer relations that can help us as we look at closing a year out or beginning a new year? Things we need to focus on.
I just love your analysis, but I think that the oversimplification always is it's easier to keep them than to try to get them.
Oh, no
Whether it's
doubt.
the time and energy or the money it takes to get a customer, once you've got them in the door, it's always best to try and make sure you're doing whatever you can to keep them coming back. And the other thing I've had in the past year, especially with COVID, is trying to find the new things that you could be doing that you're not currently doing. I think you've kind of hit around that a little bit with some of the other things you even talked about earlier in terms of marketing, which is just if you're not already doing it, if it seems like something, and to survey them, like you mentioned, and to find out what is it, something else that you could be doing to offer value to them, whether it's another type of product or service, or if it's just something else that makes their life easier, because that's the thing that's going to keep them coming back. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good point there. Good point there. Another point, and this is going to roll right into our last little area of personnel, but make sure you have the right people on the front line. This plays into customer service. You know, we all have strengths and weaknesses, every single one of us. And you know how important it is to have your best foot forward so that, you know, you could have the best product in the whole wide world, but if the person your customer interacts with is not engaging, or even worse, they're just downright unpleasant to deal with, you'll drive people away. So make sure you have qualified people on your team and they're friendly and efficient, and you know that personalized service should be a standard, for you. All right, let's talk about personnel. This is an excellent time to review the quantity that you have and also the quality here. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. It may be that you realize, you look back and you say, well, I had too many people on my staff this past year. You know, I could eliminate some of this fat, we used to call it. I can eliminate some of that. I would imagine, though, with hiring issues this past year and keeping employees, that has not been your situation. If it has been, then you're blessed. Let me tell you, you're definitely blessed. But I would say, take a look at the quantity of employees that you have. And if you do need to make some hires and you're struggling right now, there are lots of good resources out there. I would say the best resource that I believe we have is the NC Works Career Centers in our areas. And they're always helpful in finding people that we need. They can help you sort of streamline and polish up that recruiting process so that every touch point, you know, whether it's your website, any social media, you're in your store, that every single touch point has been reevaluated, and you make sure you have the best information out there when you're looking for quality people. So I lost my train of thought there for a minute, but the NC Works Career Centers can also help you with job descriptions. When you're looking to hire people, they can help you develop those job descriptions out there. But I would say it's so important whether you're looking at quantity or quality here, is that you want to create an environment where people will want to work. So no matter your method for looking for new employees, that you're creating that environment for them to want to work, that it's fun, that it's positive. Maybe you provide training for them so that they can do the best that they can. And you also want to look at your package and your compensation package and your benefit packages too. And I know NC Works Career Center has some resources online to help you with what competitive pricing is out there for pay for employees. They can help you with that as well. And it might be that you get your other employees involved, and as you're looking at this and you're winding down for the year and planning for next year, and you get your other employees involved to help you find the staff that you need if you're looking for new employees, because they know what kind of person you are and what kind of job this is, and who better than people that already work for you to help you find other employees. And that being said, you could leverage other mutual connections. It could be friends, it could be vendors, suppliers, just anybody out there to help you find what it is that you need. And we could talk about this for days about recruiting techniques and using social media, and maybe even looking at veterans for your workforce. There's lots of great ideas out there. And you could just go grassroots and put a poster up in your store. You could do that too. You could do that. Lots of ways you can recruit. But what I really want to talk to you about now is the quality of the people that you have, because this is a great time to reflect on the quality. Do I need to step it up a notch? Jim Collins talks about in his book, Good to Great, it's been around for a long time, but he talks about not only getting the right people on the bus, but getting the right people in the right seats. And I think that's just so critical that we have, first of all, key personnel. They have to be in the right seats. They have to be in the right seats. And we may have positions in our companies or in our small businesses that it's not so important that they have all the exact skills that we need. Maybe they could just have some of the skills and in those areas. But if we're looking for key personnel, this is a good time to think about making sure that we have the right people in the right seats. And you can learn from the folks that you work with and see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and even sort of do a year-end review with them and see where they would like to go and what their aspirations are. And it might be, a simple case of, okay, I'm just going to make this up on the fly here, but maybe one of them likes to dust and the other one likes to vacuum, and you've got them in the wrong position. You've had them in opposite positions. So just do a little interview with them and see what it is that they like. And if you can work that out, that would be great. That would be great. And my last point I want to tell you concerning personnel, another one of my favorites out there is Dr. Henry Cloud. And he's written several books on boundaries, but one he wrote is called Necessary Endings. And I just love this analogy. He says that sometimes we need to do some pruning. And I use this a lot, but it's like that rose bush. If you leave that rose bush alone, it's going to produce some nice blooms. They're going to be nice, but if you prune that rose bush and you cut off those dead ends and get rid of those things that aren't necessary, it's going to flourish. And that rose bush is going to be beautiful. And the same thing goes for your staffing, that if you have some people that are holding you back, holding your team back, holding your business back, and this is so tough. This is one of the hardest parts of being in business, is this little personnel part of it here. But sometimes there have to be necessary endings where we just have to cut some of those people loose in order for our business to flourish. And so I really want you to think about this time of the year, as you're going in to year end, and then as you start the new year, think about the quantity and the quality of your personnel. And I'll tell you, that whole necessary endings and clipping things that are dead or causing problems, that could go into a product as well. Maybe you've been holding on to a product that you just love, but it's just not making you any money whatsoever. As a matter of fact, you're losing money on that product or that service that you've been providing. So I want you to think about in that area as we end the year as well there. Todd, anything else that you can think of that we can add for personnel, quantity, quality, or otherwise?
I think you covered really well. I mean, I think, and this is one of those things that we could probably help with. Occasionally there are some customer service things that we can do to help people out. One of the things that we've offered in the past that hasn't been done in a while is to kind of do a kind of mystery shopper thing, because I know that those can be expensive for small businesses to pay for somebody to come in to do that kind of thing. But I mean, it's also something where if you just have a friend or somebody that knows the business and you want to find out how does it work. I mean, one of the best things you can do is have somebody, whether you pay them to do it or if you need us to help you with it, find a way to get it done, to come in and do that kind of secret shopper to see like what is somebody's experience with your frontline workers, with the people that are representing your business. And it's one of those things we have tried to offer in the past, and I know we've done it here. And I'm sure one of my fellow directors would be more than happy if it's outside of the area of working
Yeah.
with a business to come up with even just a few usually help. And it's the best to test, and have it run the gamut of what does it look like online? What does it look like if they call? What does it look like if they come into the brick and mortar? No matter what it is, what's their experience like, so that they can gauge where things need to be improved.
Yeah. Good point. We could sell the exact same product or provide the exact same service as the guy down the street, but our personnel, our frontline workers, our employees are going to set us apart, and that customer service that ties into that too. It's going to keep them coming back to want to do business with us. So it is important that we get a firsthand feedback on what that looks like from an outsider. Yeah, good point there. Good point. All right, and so we're down at the end here, and I just threw in here, finally, don't forget to take time to recognize your accomplishments and of those on your team. The fact that you survived this crazy year is reason enough to celebrate. So savor your successes and get ready for an even better year in 2022. And I cannot express enough the value of the Small Business Center Network and how they are right there to help you with one-on-one confidential counseling, connections to resources, and all these free classes that they offer. And so make sure you tap into your business advisors and your mentors there at the Small Business Center Network. Anything else we can discuss? We have like 2 minutes left.
You covered a lot of ground today, and I really appreciate it. It's a great checklist at any time of the year, really. I mean, that's the only thing I would say to people if they catch this after the fact is it's never too late. We're doing this as an end of the year, new year thing. We do this every year. Everybody does this for all sorts of things. To make sure you're fresh start, that kind of thing. But there's no time like the present, no matter what time it is for any of these things, like you said. And even if it's something to just try to figure out what would have the most impact or what would be the easiest thing to pull off, the most low cost, whatever it is, prioritize it and just start. It's better to try and do it as quickly as you can and have some sort of impact with whatever changes can be made, and then just keep plugging away. And if we can help out in any way, we'd love to. But hopefully this is something you could handle. And then if you do need our help, we're here. Very good. Very good. So, Wanda, I appreciate it. You always do a great job, and I appreciate it. We'll have this up on a couple different venues. So if somebody catches us after the fact, you got Wanda's information there. And if you don't mind, Wanda, I don't even have mine. I don't have mine up at Weezo, but I'll put if they found it, they probably know where it is, but I'll make sure that the links for both the Small Business Center Network and us here at Bladen in particular are up where they get found. And I do appreciate you taking the time to give this to us. And we'll see you in the new year, I guess. I hope.
You got it. Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Todd. All the best.
Thanks, Wanda. Talk to you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.